So does anyone have any particular questions you want me to go over before we get started? Take that as a no. All right. So let's dive into it. So you're here because you heard this thing called Claude Code. Um, I want to think they named it after Claude Monet, but I don't know. Um, so why do we have Claude Code? Where did it come from? And what are we going to do with it? So I've been a software developer for 26 years now. I'm an old fogey in the software development world, and everyone, always wants an app built, right? And apps are getting easier and easier to build, so you can build quicker and you can deploy faster. That's the whole premise of Claude Code. Um, Breaking projects into smaller pieces. Yes, that's excellent. And let's see. Is there a history in chat? Okay, so those are the couple questions that are in there. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a little demo. I'm going to show you what I already built, and then we're going to take those prompts and we're going to build it real time. And we're just going to like talk through what we're doing, why we're doing what we're doing, and try to get a better understanding of how to work with Claude. It's not just go build me an app, because then you're going to end up with, garbage in, garbage out. So let's the apps now you can do in hours versus months. I did a demo of a prototype that literally took me 20 minutes of my time. It would have taken me probably a week and a half, 2 weeks, a year ago. So let's do some screen sharing because everyone loves screen sharing. And I will do a portion of my screen. All right, so here's one app I have that is a time tracker app, and it took, all right, it took just a few minutes to develop. So here is what you're going to get. I'm going to send you an email with all this information here. It has master prompts, how to prompt, things like that. So let's start off by seeing what this time tracker app does. So we have time entries, we have projects. We don't have any projects yet. We have teams. It's just me. We have approval. So there's an approval process. And then we have some reports. Obviously, it's a brand new project. There's no data and we have notifications. So the premise of this app is, I've run a consulting company for 18, 19 years, and I always have people working for me. A lot of it's time and materials, so they need to track their time, and I need to build a client. So that is the premise here in this uh, app that we're going to build together. Um, and the reason a lot of times why apps take a long time to build is because you have a lot of people involved. So if you want to go quick, go alone. If you want to go far, go with a team. And to build an app that's got some substance in the past, you'd have to have a very big team. So with all that communication, one developer can get X amount of work done in a week. Two developers gets like 1.7x in a week. And so it's not linear. You can't just double the team and double the throughput. So let's talk through these prompts. I know everyone's probably been working with AI for a while. And what I do when I prompt is I use it as a conversation. I I don't just say do this stuff, but sometimes I'll say ask me any questions you need. Another good one, Dan Martell says this. He says, act as my coach, push back, because you don't want just the happy path. You don't want to say do this and you'll be all right, because that's not always the best approach. So here's the problem. What problem does it solve? Who's it for? Who are the different roles? What are the core features? And what should be the look and feel? And any technical preferences. So we're building web apps, desktop, mobile, both. It should always be both. Uh, but you never know, right? Data storage, authentication, all those types of things that come into play when you're building a real-time app. Uh, any questions so far? Does make sense? Pretty straightforward.
It is.
All right. Now let's let's take a look at. So here's the source that it built, and now we have a new Visual Studio Code instance. It's an open source editor, and we have Claude Code open on the right here. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to build this live. So here is, oh, and run on port. Last time, I don't know if you were here a couple weeks ago. It wanted to use same port, so we had conflicts and we had all sorts of shenanigans. So we're going to avoid that this time. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell it the problem, who's going to use it, the core features, what it should feel like, and I'll paste this so it can get started. So here are all the files, and I've got my prompts here. And so as I didn't say anything about the tech stack. So once it built it on Node.js, another time it used Python. It just depends on what we get. So that's kind of good and bad. So if you want a particular thing to be implemented in a particular way, you do need to specify what you want it to do. So right now it's building. It has a little checklist of what it's going to do. And if you notice, I didn't use anything technical uh, except for this right here because I actually wrote a prompt to write the prompts. If that makes sense. So let's see what we're doing. It looks like we're doing a node flavored implementation here. Cool. Um, all right. And let's also think of what you want to build at the end. We'll do a live demo that just we'll build like a little tool, a little checklist, um, like a red, green, yellow type of indicator if they're ready for XYZ, whatever. So think about what you want to do there. All right, let me go back to my notes. Okay, so I mentioned garbage in, garbage out. That's really critical. And if I'm developing an application that's not just super simple like this, there are a couple different files that you're going to want to use. There is, and it's in here. Let's see. Here's how to get it set up. I have like a million different. Anyway, there's a PRD. I think I just need to find it in one of these different sections. But a PRD is a definition of what you're building. And then there's a Claude markdown file, and that's a definition of how to build things. So PRD would be all the requirements, any user stories, bugs, whatever you have in there. And then the Claude markdown will be how you want it to work. So for instance, if you're a software engineer, you probably already know this. I want to create a branch. I want to use that feature branch. I want to make changes, commit those changes, push it up to the branch, and all that good stuff. So that's what that would be. I think I have another page I can send you guys as well that would have all that stuff in it. All right, so let's take a look at where we are. So if you notice, it's building the server side and then the public front end. Okay, so when we're building our app, we need to specify the scale. For instance, if we have 5 to 10 employees using it, it's one thing. But if we're going to have 5 million, that's something completely different. All right. So as fun as this is, let me get over to my other one. So we can look at the Git commits. Oh, this is not where I thought I was. I always love live demos because nothing ever goes to plan. I've had some different commits, so let me find the one I was on. I know we can do another one I worked on as well.
Okay, so what are the names?
Any questions yet?
While that's going, may I ask a question?
Of course.
Um, okay, so I'm very new to Claude, but not AI, and I created an app, and I think I
Okay.
have it to where I want it to be. But now I'm like, now what? How do I make it so that people can use it? Do I need to put it on a website? Now I don't know what the next step is. So I made the app, and the app looks good, and
Hmm.
I've tested some functionality on it. Um, but I want to share it with some friends so they can test it.
Yeah, yeah, you would have to deploy it. That's the technical term.
Thank you.
And I can show that
For
to
the
you.
non-blonde blonde in the room here.
Well, it's not as straightforward as just clicking a button. So you will have to do some steps, but I can put together some information on that.
Okay.
So it says our app is running.
Connie, are you there?
It said it was running. It lied to me. All right, so let's look at we've got auth.js database. So this is the backend code that's going to get the data for us. Let's see where our little check marks are. It's still thinking. All right, let me stop my sharing. Let me go find the other one that I was on. Um, that's another one that I built too. It's a customer portal. I had this all working 10 minutes before this, so thanks for your patience. All right. Well, let's just get back to this and see where we have it's working now. All right. Okay, so it said it was working. It was running, but it isn't. NPM start. So NPM is just a package manager, and it runs a lot of different packages behind the hood, under the hood. So now we can view our time tracker app. And here we go. Now, since we use two different prompts and two different times to do it, of course, it's going to look different. And we have an admin piece, and it created some projects for us and some clients. We did not ask it to do that. And it created one admin user. All right, so now let's go back, and what we're going to do is we're going to commit. Uh, in here, I'll include some information on GitHub. Git is a way for us to do distributed source control. Um, and the reason for that is then you have a little snapshot of what you're doing. So um, you can just do it in the AI. The AI will do it for you. It'll create a message and you can commit it. And it's a change locally here on my computer. All right. Looks like we have some messages that I've been missing. Right. Is this doable with vibe coding for non-developers? Yes, with some help. You could use something like Replit. Replit's come a long way. Um, I haven't used Base 44 or Lovable in a while. And the thing I like about Claude Code is it's almost as easy as Replit, but you have full control over it. So that's a little more advantageous to us. Yeah, Vercel's a good place for deployment. Uh, Desiree's in the middle of a phone call. Love it. All right. All right. Luke's helping me out. Thank you. All right. Cool. So here's our Git. So you can see here I added these prompts, and then here's the next one. And so this is our prompt 1 that's done. So let's take a look at prompt 2 because we took a look at what happened after that. And prompt 2 is going to be a one-click timer that runs in the background. So I can click start and it can run, and then a weekly timesheet view so that we can edit our time easily, and edit or delete past entries in case something's wrong. Obviously, after it's been invoiced, we won't want to do that. And then showing running totals. So if you notice, I still just am talking to it. I'm saying, all right, we have these core features that we have now. Let's add some more features. Right. And then another thing too, what you'll find is when you're trying to build an app, the real value is going to come when you can integrate with other things. For instance, creating a PDF, right? That takes other libraries, or connecting to QuickBooks. So I had this, another sample I was running on, and I had QuickBooks connected in like half an hour, 40 minutes. That alone would take you a week, right? Because you have to have the back and forth. You have to know how to interact with the API. And it's challenging to be able to do that right off the bat without any help if you're not a developer. All right. All right. So any in is just think of that as a way to run automated tasks. It's not necessarily AI, although they do have AI pieces in there. So any in is just a scheduled task. You can do that on your own machine, but any in runs on the server. So it's always running. If you do it every hour, it'll run 24 times every single day. All right. So let's talk about some sort of tool. What kind of tool should we create? Just like a little HTML web page that we could create, and like a checklist or a scoring system or something like that. Is there something you guys would like to do while that's running? Any thoughts? Bueller?
I'd love to have an app that I could use to give me recipes when I'm bored
Yeah,
and have cooked everything I know to cook and looking for something new.
smoked brisket. Done. Just
Whatever.
make
I mean, I could do smoked brisket, but sometimes I'm trying to be creative, something that would go out and hunt for recipes based on ingredients and things like that. I don't know.
Okay, that's a little
Maybe I
more
can already
advanced.
do that. I could probably already do that with my, comment browser, but just an
You
idea that
could.
popped into my head.
Um, Here, let me I've been working on like a little AI agent. Let's run. So what I have here is I have this is Claude code. So all these different things are connectors that it has. And then it runs in a local drive. And then I could just ask it. I could put in my dietary restraints into here, and then you could just ask it anytime. It wouldn't be an app that would be available to the public, but it'd be something that you could use on your own. So we could just talk to it. All right, I want to have some
Cool.
unique recipes to try that are healthy and delicious. And I'm not vegan. I do like meat, but I'm staying away from chicken. And show me some good recipes that I can uh, use on the grill or in the oven. So then it can go off and it can search for you. And if you add it more information, more context, then it will get even specific recipes for you that are to do, dietary constraints or something like that. We can come back here and then like herb crusted tenderloin. So it can do that for you already. So then the idea of the app would be let's take that and let's have just a text box where someone could click the microphone and then we could talk to it. So let's try working on that in just a second. Let's see where we are on our app. So if we go to start it, this is kind of the pain of local development versus Replit. Replit, where you just have a preview window, so that's kind of handy. All right, so let's refresh this. And we go to time tracking. So now we have a start timer. We worked on the mobile app. We'll say a start timer. So then when we stop, then it will log our time. Here's my app stuffs. And then we could go on to the next prompt. So this one is invoicing. We all like to get paid, so let's get paid. So we'll do that. Start another window here, and we'll do your recipe app. All right, so this might be a little tricky because we're going to interact with AI, and we're doing this live. So wish me luck. Here we go. All right, so I want to build an app that's web-based. I just want a text box and a way to talk to it, like a microphone button, and it'll use speech to text. And I want to, when someone hits enter after they talk to it, I want to scour for the best recipes and let them pick any dietary constraints that they may have. And then rank those recipes. You pick some criteria that we'll want to use, so we'll have it ranked so that they can have the best recipes available. And if they're sick of one thing, we can recommend something else. So if they say no beef, then we can give them other recipes that don't have beef in it. All right, so we're just gonna see how that works. It's wibbling. All right, so now it's working on invoice creation. And then over here,
I love that it says it's cogitating.
I know it just makes up all sorts of words, tinkering, channeling, doing all sorts of stuffs. Yeah. So the idea of this whole workshop was I'm in some coaching groups, and one of them has a bunch of entrepreneurs and business owners They are not technical. They're definitely smart. They definitely know what they want, and they have lots of ideas on how to improve their business. So that's what I've been doing for 26 years. Basically, we have three areas. We have customer portals, we have system integration, and we have automation that will do to help people do more with less. So now that creating apps is almost like dead simple, the thought was, let me help them get across the finish line. Because a lot of times they'll either get overwhelmed and not start, or they'll get to a point where they get stuck. And if I got stuck when I stopped when I first got stuck, I would have not had a career at all, because that's the whole point of software development, is to get yourself unstuck. So that's kind of the thought process behind this workshop here. All right, so let me go back to my notes and we'll see what else we need to cover. Any questions so far? I know watching AI do its thing is not very fun, but it's hard to make this a little bit more interactive. But we got something that we're working on here. One thing to note is when you're running locally, you can ask it, how do I run it? And if you noticed, that's what I did here is I did npm install. So I installed all the libraries and then start. And then you can have it make a script for you to run every time as well. I think a lot of stuff, it's just you don't know what you don't know, if that makes sense. All right, so they're still working. Another thing too is, let's talk about where to go. I just had it. Okay, so we've got master prompt, we've got our live build, we've got guardrails. So one thing to note is personally identifiable information, PII, and personal data. I worked with a company and they had social securities in their data, social security numbers in their database, and it was encrypted. So they're one step towards compliance, but on every screen that had the person, it had their full social security number on there. So one of the first things I did is I masked that so you just see the last four. And if they wanted to change it, I never showed it to them. I just let them enter a new one. So stuff like that you have to be cognizant of. Anything about payment information, credit card information, stuff like that, you're going to want to not store any of that information. Use your payment gateway to store all that, because you could get yourself into trouble. All right, so here's what it did. Let's go back over to that. All right, so let's refresh. Let's see, billing tracking. We have an invoice number. Did it stop it for us? All right, so here are our invoices. We could create a new invoice. I guess I don't know what time we have. Let's see. What project is this? Website redesign. There we go. So here we can view this. We can export it as a PDF. Here we go. We can print, or we could save it as a PDF. So this right here, I don't think you guys realize what it would take to write this a year ago. You'd have to use some PDF library, and every single piece of text, I know in Word you just type, right, and hit enter. You'd have to align it just right. And then if goes too long, then you have to account for that. You have to size the box and make sure that it's not overlapping and that so this alone is amazing. All right, cool. So we can mark it as sent, and then it does that. We have an outstanding invoice. Sweet. All right, so that was script 3. Here's 4. With this one, what we're going to do is we're going to add a dashboard and a landing page after the login. All right, let's see what we got going on with this one here. So this is our recipe app. We can preview it here. Okay, so like I don't know. I didn't tell it to do any of that, and then it went and created an app.
It's pretty cool.
I know it's kind of dumb sometimes, the whole AI thing, but at the same time, it's pretty impressive what it can do. All right, let's get the full path, and then we can open in the browser. All right, so gluten-free. I think I need some cupcakes. So let's see what it does. Now, these look like they are made up recipes, aren't they? That's lentil soup. Okay, so it doesn't really do anything, but the UI is kind of interesting. When someone clicks the button, I want you to go find on the internet the best recipe for what they're asking. We'll see what it does. All right, now let's go back to our time tracker. So we're having, you can see over here what changes it's going to make. Green is addition, red is it deleted it. So if you're so inclined, you can look at it. So one thing in years past, I have fought vehemently over little things in the code base to make it more maintainable, make it more object oriented, all this kind of stuff. But now the code doesn't matter as much because we're building the apps. And obviously, we don't want garbage, but all this stuff doesn't matter if it's one class or another or how it's laid out. It's just how it's going to display on the page. So think of that too. It's almost like instead of being mechanics now, we're race car drivers, and we don't have to do the mechanics of it. We just need the car to go, and we can drive it around the track. Whereas before we were everything, so we really cared about everything. But now we trust it to do its job, and we'll do our job. And we do need to have some oversight though. So that's kind of a shift now. Okay, going back to guardrails, API keys and secrets. You want to keep those out of your source control because anyone with access to the source control now has access to your secrets and API keys. So keep that in mind. All of the AI companies have leaked stuff accidentally. So never trust a computer. Let's see. Sometimes packages are fake. I don't really see that too much. A lot of times it will build a lot of defaults that are open instead of secured. And then let's see. Here's something that's interesting. So US copyright law requires human authorship. Purely AI generated code has no copyright protection, which I think interesting because if I go out and I Google something and I take a piece of that code and then I paste it, isn't that the same thing? So we're going to have to see what the copyright laws how those come into play. Also, it might be the combination of the things we put together. And then also you only need to change like 5 or 10% of source code for it to be your own. Like if you use inspiration from something or something's publicly available. Let's see. All right, so here's another tip when things go wrong. So I have two web pages I'm going to send you guys. One has got all these prompts here. Another one is more generalized, and it has a section on debugging. So debugging is going to be very important. What you need to do when you're debugging something is you need to always start with what you know. So take a step back. What's not working? Sometimes you'll see an error and you're like, I have no idea what that means. So look back at what you know. And then, oh, I see I'm lagging on the chat. So I'll be over there in a second, guys. And then work your way from the top. Don't assume that you know what you don't know. So always start at the very beginning, see if everything's up and running, see if other portions of the application work, and go from there. So let's see, production level question. You've got dragged into this through curiosity. We're talking, I'm reading Jack's comment. You've been worried about security concerns. So what type of security concerns?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Awesome. I appreciate you taking my question. My name's Jack, and I have gotten dragged into, like I said, into a lot of these projects just out of curiosity, and it's been a lot of fun, and I've been able to push through a lot of like I would call them production level. They're helping our business in ways that we never would have thought before. Um, with me not having a formal background in cybersecurity, or like any sort of technical fashion. In the back of my mind, I'm realizing that the more and more projects that I'm creating, um, I don't really know or like if I should be trusting um, the outputs of AI when it comes to like security gaps or anything like that. I'm curious how much trust do you put into like take this app as an example, and you're talking about invoicing and processing, like how far do you need to go to verify that the gaps in security are not there, or just curious. I have absolutely no perspective on it.
Yeah, so this one, um, it, it would really depend on your app that you're building. So I'd have to take a look at it and see what potential security holes there are. Here's let me show you. So we're going to turn on the developer tools. We'll go to network tab. Um, and then when we click here, what happens? So we get projects. So this is an API request. We're getting in the weeds. I understand. So some of you are like just tuning out, and that's fine. But what happens is the browser here will make a request behind the scenes, and that's what we're looking at here. So we've got projects, current time entries, and totals, and all those pieces of information get displayed here on the dashboard.
Mhm.
So the first thing I would do is I would make sure that there's a let's see, a bearer token, or this has a cookie here. We want to make sure that here's the bearer. So authorization, here's the bearer token.
Mhm.
That tells me that we're really getting into the weeds too. So when I log in, it gets a bearer token for me. It just says, here's my token. It has an expiration. Every time I hit this API endpoint, the expiration resets. So let's say it's 5 minutes. So 3 minutes in, I hit it, and then the 5 minutes resets. So that's what a bearer token does. You can check there. That's the first thing. And then there are some security tools. I'm not a security expert either, but I know enough. Like for me, I could write some tests to make sure that it's secure.
Okay.
And let's ask it right here. So how do I test security? I want to make sure that unauthorized access doesn't ever happen. I see you're using a bearer token. What else can I do to verify that all endpoints are being secured? So you should only have register and login that are anonymous. Everything else should be secured. So then we can just ask it because there's really no reason not to know anything because all you got to do is ask. Okay, so we have a hard-coded secret, right? That needs to become somewhere else. No role-based authorization. Okay. Okay, so if Jack, if you and I are, this is a multi-tenant, so if you and I have a different company that we've logged in as, I can see yours if I know the ID, and you can see mine. So that's going to be a security hole. So 30 tests passed. So I think that that's what I would do. In every tool, I would go in and I'd start asking it, what security concerns are there? Um, let's see. Are there any other security concerns that I should have? What else do I need to test for to make sure that we don't have data breaches or security issues? So I don't know, because this is just a new app that I didn't even write, that AI wrote, right? So I'm in the same boat as you. So let's ask it. Let's see what happens, and just keep asking too. So here's the same information, and then now we've got API users. So in our, like, this was API/projects. So an admin can do different things. So that's what I would do it for. Cross-origin resource scripting. So basically, if I'm on website abc.com and we're hitting xyz.com, unless it's authorized, the browser should stop that, and we're not implementing that. So here we go. We've got lots of different things, and then it prioritizes it for us. Does that help?
It does. I appreciate it. I appreciate taking the
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, we're all just making this up as we go along. So it's all brand new to everybody.
All right, cool.
All right, so now we have a dashboard here. Let's see. So it has 3 hours on each of them, 9 hours. So it's not super useful because there's not a lot of data in there, but it did do what we asked it to. That's kind of the problem, is that it always does what we ask. All right, so we made some changes to this other one. Let's see what we have. All right, let's do this one again. So it's still not really working because it's just showing the same stuff over again. But the cards are cool. Like for just a dummy app,
Mhm.
it even has a color scheme here that
Yeah,
kind
I
of
saw
goes
that.
with the feel. Like, I don't
Terracotta.
know, a good start. So the next steps is I would hook this up into an AI, an API call, and then have it go find some recipes for you. And then you could have it do some ranking, um, just kind of like I did with the prompt itself, asking for recipes. Right here, you can just have the source added and then a rank. So that's all you're doing, is you're wrapping prompts um, under the covers. All right. So that's our time tracker now. Let's commit this. Here, we'll do this. Save security info and commit. So now we'll do prompt 5. We're going to generate some sample data. So we have projects, clients, etc. And since I asked it to save our security stuff, it should create a file for us, memory. I don't know why it said memory, but it did. Okay. So we'll just queue this up. Okay, we've got 12 minutes. Any other burning questions Yeah, David, we are recording it. I'll send you a link after we're done here.
I have another one if you don't mind.
I got 12 minutes. I'm all yours.
Have you experimented, and we were talking about this a little bit in the chat. So I do use Replit. I've used, I think it's called Sora, the ChatGPT's version of coding. I haven't used Claude Code yet, so I'm excited to use this. Um, when I've found there's some applications where like Replit or a program is best, and then there's other more process related things in our business that are better for automations. And one thing that I've struggled with is trying to figure out how to bridge the gap between using AI and having it more integrated into building, even if it's wireframing workflows, to cut out some percentage of the like creation effort. Have you played with that at all with any of the MCPs using things like Zapier or Power Automate and using Claude Code? I see a lot of it on Reddit and things like that, and I wonder how much of it's hype versus real.
Like building out workflows.
Yeah, so workflow automations, but talking to Claude, for example, to then have Claude create the workflow or at least wireframe it, opposed to just talking with it. It's instructing you what to do, and then like I physically would build the workflow.
Well, have you heard of Cowork?
I have not.
So I was in Go High Level, that's my CRM, and I said, build out a workflow for me. Here's what I want it to do. And I'd been chatting with it. And then, oh, here, complete Claude Code workshop funnel. And so I went and did other things while it was working in my browser. Uh, you got to watch it. I did a couple things before that. So let's see. One thing we can do is here's my AI assistant. So put together a workflow for me. We're going to use NAN, and we want to automate when I get an email with something that looks like it's related to an invoice that needs to be paid or money of any sort of thing or a current project. I want you to flag it and put it in a folder called urgent. So we'll just see what it does. Um, I don't know what it's going to do, but we'll see what it does, and we'll go back to here because I know it created some stuff for us while that's churning. All right, so now we should have some more data. All right, here we go. So that makes it a lot more useful. We have two unpaid invoices. We need to send Vinny over to break some kneecaps. We've got a bunch of different projects that we're working on. And here we can see our clients, coastalrealty.com. Stuff like that's kind of funny to me, how it sounds like it could be a real company. So that was pretty cool. And then here's another thing too, if we want to look at what it did, we can go to the Git changes. And it basically created all these different things for us and just is seeding the data. Um, I've done a lot of this programmatically in the past, so this is pretty handy. Saves a ton of time. So let's see what we've got over here. Oh, I don't want to email you anything. So it does have, I'm connected to Microsoft Graph because that's my email provider, and it can send emails for me. So now it's just building a workflow. I don't know what it's building a workflow in. Oh, it's gonna build it all in here. So it's gonna create a skill, and then it's gonna actually watch my inbox, and then it will move it to the appropriate folder. So that's pretty sweet. It's not what I asked it to do exactly, but I didn't. Oh, any in. So it used that instead of N8N. Here, let's let's rewrite this. All right. Any other questions while that's churning? We've got 7 more minutes. I want to be respectful of your time. All right. So here we are back on the document here. Let's go to the top and we will collapse all these. Okay. So here is getting started. If you're on Windows or Mac, this is how you get Claude Code running. If you get stuck, just ask Claude Code how to install Claude Code, right? Claude.ai. Um, what to do when things go wrong. Something that worked just broke. Um, so be specific about what you tell it. A lot of times you can just paste the error message. We didn't get any error messages this time around, which is amazing. And actually, I'm shocked. Um, yeah, just being more specific. Here's the Claude Markdown that I talked about earlier. Right. Here's some example prompts. So this will help you generate a prompt. You can also in the prompt say, ask me for anything that I'm not, um, that I forgot. So this is the prompts to the exact workshop we did today. Here's the framework. One thing at a time, that's very important. If you give it too much information, too many things to do, it'll get confused and it might do half of them or it might step on itself. Just give it one thing at a time. It's better to have a lot of prompts versus one big giant prompt to rule them all. And that's where your PRD will come into play. In there, you can do all your features. And how much did I type when we were writing this? None. I didn't type anything other than fixing little things here and there. Oh, so it created a JSON file and a setup guide. So that's kind of cool. Um, let's see if it'll open up in the sidebar. I'd have to look for it because I've got a lot going on. So if you notice, I just made up something on the fly and it created some NaN stuff for us to do. Yep, screenshots work well. I was talking to someone the other day. OCR, optical character recognition, used to be really hard and really expensive, and it never worked. Now we take it for granted. Same with speech to text. Um, it's it's unreal sometimes. So yeah, define your user permissions. And if you miss something and go out of order, it's really not a big deal. Like user permissions, you could wait till the end to do user permissions and then say, all right, admins can do this and other users can do that. Oh, Claude's trying to open my browser. Um, so order doesn't always matter. But this is gold here. Use this and it will help you get your app going. All right, 3 minutes. Any other questions? Was it helpful, Yasmin? Was this useful for you? Was it kind of all over the place or did it help? Yeah, I see kind of all over the place.
It was a little bit, I still don't understand. Like I had Claude working in a session for me,
Uh-huh.
um, separate from the app. I've done like so many different things, which I've loved that I can do all these things. But I had it going through basically my CRM and
Mhm.
creating a new sell by chat Dan Martell style plan of action.
Yeah.
I somehow closed it. I can't seem to re-find it, and I don't want to have to start the whole thing all over again.
What
And
app were
it
you?
keeps telling me it doesn't have any save, it doesn't save anything in its memory. So that's like my question is where do I find this session that was running? And I still have the browser tab open, but I had closed Claude on that tab.
Well, so Claude is several different things, right? We have chat,
Right.
we have co-work, and we have code.
Right.
Oh, it was trying to open a website. That's why it launched my browser. So if you're on chat, there's a search right here. You can search for it. In Claude Code, what you can do is you can also create a skill. So here, let me start a new session.
This
So if
is, let me see if I can
I
find it.
do like message, that's a skill that I added, and it sends an email through my CRM. So I'll message me. Thanks for joining me for the workshop. Okay, when I click enter, it sent my email through Go High Level.
Hmm.
So that's one good thing to do is to try to create a skill. Now, how I created that skill is I told AI to create a skill to connect to Go High Level and create an email when I say send an email to someone. So that's one thing you do. You can use Claude Code and you can use skills so that you can do that sell by chat. I have one of those as well. So it helps you respond to different messages. Let me, how do I set up a skill in Claude Code? Um, let's see. I'm gonna open this. I'm gonna send this to you in the chat. We're gonna watch it on YouTube. Oh, come on. I didn't mean to do that. I just wanted, there we go. I don't have my YouTube Premium connected on this one. All right, so we'll go to YouTube. I will send this, take all that out. I'll send this in the chat. Skills are great. They're a great way to automate certain things, not on their own, but you can ask it to do something and it'll go do it for you. And then if you want to look, here, I'll show you my message chat and you can see what it is.
Integrate always on AI across all your messaging.
So I didn't write this. I just said that this is what I want it to do. I want to send me a message via Go High Level. I can either send texts or email, and then keeps it short. It does it, and then all this kind of stuff will help you get it going. So, and it has a bearer token for security. So there's nothing. No one can use this but me unless they have the bearer token. So look into skills. I think that'll be helpful for you, especially the sell by chat. And then you can have it, if you're in Claude Code, it'll create different files to track where you are with every person in your pipeline. Does that make sense? Email me later. I can help you out. How about that? All right, we're 2 minutes over. What else can I help you guys with? Anything else? You are welcome, Yasmin. Cool. Yeah, check out skills. That's a time saver for sure. And then I'll send you some emails. If you want any other questions answered, feel free to reply. I'd love to chat with you and see how I could help. Anything else? Any other questions? Now's your time. Yeah, unmute. I can't hear you. You're welcome, Jack. Yasmin, did you still have a question? I think she dropped. All right. Thanks, guys. Catch you again next time.